Here we have the part of the map showing Crow Bridge across the Crow River, which will be defended by part of Rhodes Brigade. Looking north along the East Road, Crow Bridge with the marshy bank areas to its east. The Crow River flowing down from Choke Heights through a valley it has carved out over many centuries. Looking west to the Choke Heights. The Crow River Valley can clearly be seen in this view. The Murray Farmstead. And finally, looking east from the slopes of Choke Heights.
Major Gustus thought it was a mistake when first informed that a man with 3 mules was climbing the north side of Choke Heights. But sure enough, for the last 3 hours, the little convoy had passed backward and forward, left and right on the steep slope down below them. They would disappear behind scrubs, rocks, or bushes, only to reappear a little higher each time. Now the elderly man and his mules were approaching the summit. He came to a halt when he saw the bemused soldiers ahead of him. The major stepped forward, holding out an outstretched hand. "I am Major Gustus of the 6th Alabama Regiment. Who may I ask you are, sir?" The old man shook the proffered hand. "I am Caleb McGuire of Hampstead, and I'm having one hell of a job getting home with supplies for my store. Them damn Yankees are everywhere." The major nodded. "Well, you have managed to climb up the north face of the heights, a feat we were informed was impossible. Not only that, did it with 3 mules in tow as well." Caleb rubbed his gray beard. "Well, I've climbed it a few times in years gone by when I was carrying a cargo that I didn't want the government houses on the east or west roads to go poking around in. Moonshine was a good seller back then," he smiled. The old man was provided with a cup of coffee and happily explained that the Yanks had sealed off both roads into the peninsula and that a large camp with hundreds of tents had been set up by the west road. He had decided to climb the old pathway that he reckoned no more than 3 or 4 men alive knew about today. They wouldn't stop him from getting home. Caleb and his mules were given an escort down to the west road as the messenger with this newly gathered information headed for the telegraph hut in Peyton.
Part of Brigadier General Robert E. Rhodes' brigade, tasked with defending Crow Bridge, see the first sign of the enemy on the bluff overlooking the East Road. Confederate skirmishers are deployed in the marshy ground to the east of the bridge. The whole defensive force ready to deploy: 12th Mississippi, 5th Alabama, 4th Virginia Artillery, and Wise's Legion Cavalry. Union cavalry patrols search in vain for a way across the river, the area in which the action will take place.
Once 1st Division had passed through Bourne, General Slocum had ordered the division to fall out at 1300. The men had been up since before dawn and had marched without a break for 7 hours, covering some 15 miles. A hot cup of coffee and some food, as well as a short rest, would be appreciated by all. He, along with Brigadier Newton, had ridden forward the 3 miles to Crow Bridge to find the 6th Pennsylvania Cavalry, who had scouted ahead. He found them a short distance from the bridge. "Sir, I have patrols moving west along the river, but I doubt they will find a ford or any sort of crossing point, as the river is fast flowing and at the bottom of a steep-sided valley," Colonel Edmund had continued. "The enemy has 2 regiments of infantry, 1 of cavalry, 1 battery of artillery with which to defend the bridge. He has also thrown out a skirmisher screen in the marshy area to the east of the bridge." "Thank you, Colonel. Much as the map told us, the bridge is the only way for the army to cross that river." General Slocum raised a pair of binoculars to scan the area. "What do you make of it, John?" The commander of the 3rd Brigade was also glassing the whole area before them. "It's going to be a tough nut to crack, Henry. Even with our superior numbers, a tiny force could hold us up indefinitely at that bridge and cause us severe casualties in the process." Henry Slocum lowered his glasses. "Our sudden appearance may cause more of the enemy to arrive, which of course is worse for us, but fulfills the objective of drawing the enemy away from the 2nd Division. I'm in no rush to attack, but we need to put on a show for the rebels, get them worried, and calling for reinforcements." What do you suggest? John asked. Henry had once more raised his binoculars. There's still a lot of daylight left this afternoon and evening, plenty of time for us to form up and carry out an assault. That is what I want the enemy to think we're about to do. I want you to bring up skirmishers and artillery from your brigade. They will advance toward the bridge and occupy that farm besides the road. The rest of the regiments will form up close to this very spot. I can have them here within 2 hours, Henry. What of 1st Brigade? Do you want them up here too? Henry wiped one of the eyepieces of his binoculars with a handkerchief. No, John. They can advance, make camp 1 mile to the rear of this position. Your brigade will perform for the Rebs today and this evening. Your boys can make a lot of noise, and the artillery can fire a round or two through the night to keep Johnny awake. 1st Brigade can rest until tomorrow. By that time, I hope to have drawn more of the enemy to this location. Then I shall use the 1st in a feint against the bridge, whilst your brigade pulls back early tomorrow. John smiled. No rest for Johnny.
15:30 hours, and Union skirmishers, infantry and artillery move up. Left to right, 31st New York, 32nd New York, and 95th Pennsylvania. A Battery, 1st Massachusetts Artillery and skirmishers approach the river. Confederate troops take up their positions to defend the bridge. View looking northeast from Wise's Legion Cavalry. A good shot showing all the forces currently deployed on the table at Crow Bridge. Location of all the forces at 1600 hours, 31st of May 1862. The northern end and southern ends of the map.
Gentlemen, it seems the enemy is about to make his attack, Brigadier General Robert E. Rhodes said to his regimental commanders who had gathered around him. They appear to be committing a single brigade, maybe just to test our firepower and probe for any weak spots before making an all-out assault with all their forces. We are in a strong defensive position. The enemy must take the bridge if they wish to penetrate further into the peninsula. I would be happier if the rest of the brigade were here alongside us, but even without them, we can deny the enemy that bridge. The officers nodded in agreement. I doubt we can expect any reinforcements, as General Hill believes an even larger enemy force is poised to strike down the West Road. He will have to meet that threat with the remainder of the division. We will do our job, gentlemen, and hold this area. The rumble of artillery from across the river brought the meeting to an end.